Welcome to Auralith Wellness. Everyone talks about living longer, but almost nobody talks about living better longer. You hear the same advice everywhere. Increase your VO2 max, lift weights, walk 10,000 steps, do zone 2 cardio, try HIIT workouts. But here's the uncomfortable question. If modern fitness advice truly created long-term health span, why are so many older adults still losing independence? Why do nursing homes contain people who exercised for decades? Why are falls, mobility loss, cognitive decline, and disability still increasing in countries obsessed with fitness and longevity? Something clearly is not converting. And that's the real issue. Most people are training for performance while believing they're training for health span. Those are not the same thing. The fitness industry continues to repackage old science with new marketing language. Longevity became the buzzword because longevity sells. But much of what's promoted today is simply fitness wrapped in anti-aging branding. And if fitness alone were the answer, we would expect to see dramatically healthier aging populations with fewer mobility problems, fewer falls, and fewer years spent disabled later in life. But globally, that's not what the data shows. Countries like the United States, the United Kingdom, Australia, and Canada continue to show some of the largest gaps between lifespan and health span. People are surviving longer, but not necessarily functioning better. And that gap has been widening for decades. Here's the bigger question. What if the real threat to aging well isn't a lack of exercise, but exercising in ways that fail to protect real-life function? That changes everything. Fitness is performance capacity. Health span is functional independence. They are related, but they are not interchangeable. You can have excellent cardio fitness and still struggle later in life with balance, mobility, reaction speed, coordination, or cognitive decline. Health span is ultimately about one thing. Can you continue doing the things daily life requires without assistance? In aging science, these are called activities of daily living, or ADLs. That includes being able to walk safely, climb stairs, get up off the floor, carry groceries, maintain balance, avoid falls, react quickly, navigate unfamiliar places, think clearly while moving, and stay mentally engaged in conversations and decisions. These abilities may not sound exciting at age 35, but they become incredibly important at 75. And loss of these abilities often happens much faster than people expect. Most people think about longevity by looking forward, how long will I live? But there's a smarter way to think about healthy aging. Look backward from the end. Ask yourself, what abilities am I most afraid of losing? Because health span isn't really about maximizing one fitness metric. It's about avoiding catastrophic weak points. Imagine a high-performance race car, elite engine, elite driver, perfect engineering, but one defective tire. That single weakness can end the race immediately. Human health works the exact same way. You don't lose independence because one thing is world-class. You lose it because one system fails. And this is where most modern fitness advice completely breaks down. Because your strongest area usually isn't the problem. Your blind spot is. Real health span depends on multiple systems working together. There are 5 major domains that determine long-term functional aging and longevity: strength and power, cardiovascular capacity and recovery, mobility and balance, flexibility and structural integrity, neuromotor and cognitive function. And here's the important part. These systems are interconnected. Neglect one, and eventually the others begin to suffer too. A fall caused by poor balance can instantly reduce strength, cardiovascular conditioning, and confidence through hospitalization and inactivity. Years of inactivity can impair gait speed and accelerate cognitive decline. A person may still appear fit while quietly losing function underneath. That's why health span is rarely destroyed by your strongest trait. It's usually destroyed by your weakest one. This is where many people get uncomfortable, because many popular forms of exercise are good for fitness, but incomplete for long-term health span. That doesn't make them bad. It simply means they don't fully transfer into functional resilience later in life. Take cycling, for example. Cycling is excellent for cardiovascular conditioning, but cardio alone is a resource, not a functional ability. Cycling contributes very little to balance, impact tolerance, gait mechanics, or getting up off the floor independently. Now let's talk about running. This surprises a lot of people. Running is not simply fast walking. The biomechanics are different, the muscle activation patterns are different, the neuromotor demands are different. And research has shown that many runners still experience reduced walking speed later in life. That matters because walking speed is one of the strongest predictors of healthy aging and independence. Machine-based strength training presents another limitation. Machines isolate muscles effectively. But life doesn't happen in isolation. Real life demands rotation, stabilization, balance, coordination, uneven surfaces, reaction speed, and multitasking. Most machines remove those demands completely. So what types of activities actually support long-term health span and healthy aging? This is where the research becomes extremely revealing. Activities that train only one domain include things like flat walking, elliptical machines, isolated stretching, rowing machines, and many machine workouts. Helpful? Absolutely. Comprehensive? Not really. Activities covering two domains include cycling, running, Nordic skiing, walking golf courses, and functional lifting. Activities covering three domains include tennis, pickleball, swimming, basketball, kayaking, hill walking, and gardening. These challenge both the body and the brain at the same time. And at the top are activities that consistently touch four functional domains: yoga, Pilates, dancing, and hiking. Interestingly, these activities are commonly associated with populations enjoying longer health span and better quality of life, not because they create elite athletic performance, but because they reduce blind spots. The real goal is not becoming exceptional in one category. The real goal is becoming resilient across many. That means choosing movements that transfer effectively into real-life capability later in life. Examples include Turkish get-ups, farmer carries, suitcase carries, loaded step-ups, split squats, and lunges. Why? Because these movements require stability, balance, coordination, posture, strength, and cognitive engagement all at once. That's functional transfer, and that's what many traditional exercise programs fail to prioritize. Here's the mindset shift that changes everything. Health span is less about maximizing performance and more about minimizing vulnerability. That single idea can completely transform the way you train for longevity and healthy aging. Most people do not have an exercise problem, they have a conversion problem. Too much energy goes into activities that improve isolated fitness metrics without adequately protecting long-term function and independence. Health span requires breadth. not just intensity. The body doesn't care how impressive your VO2 max looked at age 40 if balance failure causes a devastating fall at age 78. Real longevity training means preparing for the actual demands of aging. Movement, adaptability, coordination, strength, mobility, cognition, and independence. Because at the end of the day, the true measure of health span is simple. Can you continue living life on your own terms? That is the standard that matters, and that is the standard worth training for. Thank you for watching Auralith Wellness. If you found this video valuable, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss future content on health span, longevity, healthy aging, functional fitness, wellness, and living a stronger life for longer. And as always, take good care of yourself and the people you love.